Welcome to our home.
Go.
Hi there, Plasticjunky back with one of my. I don't do much often superheroes or supervillains from Marvel Legends Toy Biz, 6-inch and 5-inch, but we're doing a mirage of just villains. And my cameraman is a special guest, is Protoman from Proto Retro.
How you doing, people?
Good, me too. Okay, so basically we'll start with Swarm. Swarm came in a line of 5 characters, and they came with you actually build them into these weird type of mutants. This is just Swarm. He appeared in the cartoon of Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends with Iceman and Firestar. And Swarm, he was actually always saying names during the cartoon. Swarm, Swarm. It sounds something like a sandwich, like shawarma. Like a sandwich that you want to eat. When I was young, I used to laugh at his name, Swarm. This is Swarm. Basically, you could take off the cape. You can't... I think you could take off the thing, but you can't really. What he was, a villain of, was he controlled a swarm of bees, and his body was the bees. And then he got into, I think he got into an accident, and the bees attacked him, and became a villain for Spider-Man because Spider-Man tried to help him. Unfortunately, like he always did, that's how his bad guys came around. All of them, well, majority of them, they came around by being like that.
Accidents.
Accidents, yeah. The Lizard, Green Goblin, Dr. Octopus, and the list goes on and on.
The tragic villain.
The tragic, yeah, that's it. The only one that wasn't part of it was Venom, because the symbiote suit liked him for a few minutes, but wasn't too evil. He went to, what was his name, the guy that became...
Well, first it was Eddie Brock.
Eddie Brock.
And then later on it went to the guy who was Scorpion, whose name escapes me right now. The Scorpion's real name.
Oh shit, I don't remember.
Yeah, but then it went to Scorpion at one point. Then there was Bride of Venom, where it attached to Eddie Brock's girlfriend at the time. Oh man, the Venom was all around. The Venom is a whole whore. So
you want me to go get the Scorpion? I have him too.
No, that's fine.
Okay. Should I? No.
No, it's okay.
I forgot him.
We got a whole collection here.
Okay,
of people
so here we have Electro. He's one of the rarer ones. He comes from a 7-pack. He's from a 7-pack of Marvel Legends 6-inch. This is a 5-inch, by the way. Okay? I just want to show one little Toy Biz one. He's from a 7-pack of Spider-Man and what is it called? The Fearsome 6.
Well, there's the Sinister
6. Sorry, Sinister 6. That's right. He was the only time available. The first time he was available was from Secret Wars. He was a European figure. He was about 5 inches, and he was extremely rare. And he still is rare. Loose. He's ridiculously expensive in the 3 digits, and in the package too, he's rare. I don't know why he's so rare, but I can still find him and Iceman from my Secret Wars. Eventually, one day, I'll finish my set. Now, we'll talk about him. They came with elaborate little bases, with all a base, a stand. They came out in 2004 from Toy Biz, Marvel Entertainment, Marvel Legends. All of them had this little face. So there was Spider-Man, there was Black Cat, there was and a bunch of other characters that came out in that 7-pack. But me, I want to talk about more about Electro because he's the rarest one of them all. This came from one of my friend's collection that he doesn't collect anymore. Fell in love with a woman from France. Obviously, love destroys everything, especially toy collections. Sad. I give Swarm a 3. I give him a 5 because articulation is cool. You have articulation on the toes, right here, the ankles. The knee joints in between the knees and what is this part called here?
Well, you have the knee joint, and then you would have, I mean, that's a patella over there.
The patella, that's it. And basically, Marvel Legends, why they were popular because of the articulation. The articulation is ridiculously amazing. You could do anything with these figures, and Electro is still one of my favorite villains from Spider-Man. And these are all just a mirage of Spider-Man villains. That's how I'm doing it.
And for a lot of kids who grew up in the 90s, they were probably not familiar with Electro because the Spider-Man cartoon that Fox put out back then, they didn't use Electro, but they used a similar character named Shocker.
Yeah, Shocker, that's right. That's a lot of people love him.
Because, like, Electro, while he appeared in the 60s Spider-Man cartoon, and he appeared in Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, and there was a short Spider-Man series, too, that existed.
The digital one.
Yeah.
from Japan.
which was voiced by Dan Gilbazin, did his voice in that one also. And Electro was in all of those, but Electro was oddly absent from the 90s Spider-Man cartoon. Why, I don't know. It probably was licensing reasons at the time, but I know that Shocker was in his place, essentially, for the trademark Electric villain. And Shocker was part of the Sinister Six instead of Electro, which actually in the comic books is incorrect, but whatever. Just a little information there.
Then we'll go to the Hobgoblin. I don't have his glider, because this one I rebought it in a box. Didn't pay much for it. It was damaged, and mine is in really crappy shape. So I'm not gonna show off the glider, but it's okay. I know it's you're showing. They're saying, "Oh, but PJ, you're not showing him with the glider." That doesn't make a difference. Here he is, Hobgoblin. You can see his mask. He's ugly as sin. Basically, there was Green Goblin, then Hobgoblin, then Demo Goblin, then Jack-o'-lantern, and there's a few other ones, I bet. There's the son of Green Goblin, Green Goblin 2. One. This is Hobgoblin. Hobgoblin, these are from a series called Spider-Man. It's a classic Spider-Man line. They made tons of these figures from that line. The line was so long that it's one of the hardest line of Marvel of the 2000 series of Marvel Legends from Toy Biz 6-inch. There's 3 sets of Marvel Legends. The first set started with Toad and a few other characters. Toad was the rare one. The second set came out with characters like to build what's his name, Ares, and to build Ronan the.
What year you're talking about specifically?
The first year of Marvel Legends came out in the early 90s.
Yeah, but you're talking the Build-A-Figure stuff.
Yes. That was the first year.
The first Build-A-Figure was, I want to say Onslaught. No, that was incorrect.
No, I think
you had Blob, Onslaught, you had a Sentinel,
Galactus.
You had Galactus.
But you see, they made 3 series. The first series was based on these figures right here.
Yeah.
The second series were more figures that the paint job was a little bit more different, and they were like, you could build a figure. The packaging was different. The first original packaging were more plastic, and it came with a comic book. Or if you were a Canadian, the Canadian ones came with a poster. The American version came with a comic
foil
book.
poster.
Yeah, and the Canadian version came with a foil poster. The second versions came just in a weird blister. It was not plastic; it was cardboard with the pictures of the character and plastic, which had Ronan the Accuser, which is rare to build, and Ares, which is the 2 rare ones. The third versions were all called classic. There was the X-Men classic line, there was the Spider-Man classic line, and the Fantastic Four classic line, which eventually in the future I'm going to do one of the rarest Fantastic Four figures that only came out in the UK. It's called the Doombot. That's extremely rare. That's going to be a one-shot video. What I give Hobgoblin, I give him a 5 because he's cool. So put that aside. Then we have Morbius. Morbius, this guy, you have to know one thing about this guy. He's extremely rare, loose, in perfect shape. His face was made of a really cheap, no, I wouldn't say cheap, very fragile plastic. So we have a button in the back right here, where his cape, and you push, and it makes an action where he's like a vampire. Well, basically he is a vampire. Morbius doesn't like many people, but he goes on the good side, he goes on the bad side, he's 50-50. He doesn't care much about Spider-Man. Sometimes he does help him, sometimes he doesn't. This figure, like I said again, in the packaging, you're going to pay a lot, but loose, you're going to pay even more because of the face. What they used to make the figure, it's extremely fragile, this plastic. It breaks so easily. Every time I found Morbius in the shape I found him, the face was completely off. You saw the mechanism underneath.
It's usually because the mechanism seems like it's very fragile, because it does a very good job of hiding the joints.
That's it
for the mechanism, but that's probably the reason why it's so fragile.
Very fragile. So to find them like in beautiful shape like this, because I got it from a guy's collection, my friend, he opened it. Different story. You find it in good shape. I give him a 4.5 for coolness. Then we go to one of the Venom characters. This is Carnage, Ultimate Carnage. This one came, I believe, from Marvel Select. No, actually, sorry. This is from the Spider-Man Classic line. I'm sorry. His head doesn't move. He's a little bit odd for Carnage. It's the ultimate carnage they made. I give him only a 3 because it's not much articulated. His head doesn't move. It's like his head's connected to his body. It's like kind of odd, but I like it as a symbiont because it's different. You know, it's cool.
And the Ultimate figures were always reinterpretations of the original characters. They were.
That's it.
So it's not the typical Cletus Cassidy that we're familiar with, anyways.
This is Stealth Venom. The story about Stealth Venom, I'm not too sure, but I'm sure Protoman might know.
I have no idea, to be honest. I think that's just more of a action figure based variant rather than being a fictional variant. Because there's a lot of that stuff from Spider-Man. There'd always be. It's similar to Batman, where there'll always be like deep sea dive Batman with day glow, you know. But there's no actual fiction related to it. I mean, just looking at this Venom here, I mean, I don't remember when Venom had a rocket launcher on his arm or
That's
anything.
it. The Spider-Man Classic line was made for kids. Like,
Yeah.
all toys are made. But there are a lot of collectors collect this stuff. Like, the villains in the line of Spider-Man are the harder ones to get. Like, I'm coming down to one of the 2 rarer ones. This one, it's still kind of rare. You know, you pay a little bit for it, but, you know, it's findable. And the problem with this one, too, is that it's his head, too. It's very fragile.
It's made out of a rubber as opposed to the rest of the body.
Yeah, it's supposed to do something really unique, but you see it moves a little bit, but it doesn't really move much because it came out of the packaging. It comes with a rocket launcher, which it comes with a symbiont creature that comes out of the thing, and you shoot it at Spider-Man. I don't give it much. This one I give it a 2 because, yeah, it's original, but I don't like the colors. Here we have Man-Wolf. He's another villain of Spider-Man. He's a really rare figure to find on card and loose too. He makes a funny noise, like a werewolf, and he lights up here.
Yeah, the little LED there.
Battery powered in the back.
Yeah.
So what it is, the battery powered, you connect it to his back, and it uses the mechanism to open his mouth and the gem on his chest. I don't know much about Man-Wolf. I know that he appeared in a few comic books of Spider-Man, and I think he had his own comic book. I'm not mistaken.
Even his outfit is very reminiscent of Wolverine. It's kind of interesting. I honestly thought that was I've never heard of Man-Wolf personally.
Just that he's a little bit strange. Like the figure itself, the head always stays like that. It's because of the mechanism. It's always like forced
for the gimmick. Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably like what you could do is you could keep him up here in like on a building, and he's looking down at Spider-Man. I give him a 4.5 for originality and rareness. The last one is Jack-O-Lantern. I love this guy. He's pretty cool. I give him a 5 right away. He's one of my favorite villains of Spider-Man. Jack-O-Lantern basically reminds me of Sam Hain from what's his name there? Real Ghostbusters.
Oh,
The Spirit of Halloween.
Yeah.
He's cool. These go on his. You could throw it in his hand, but they're a little bit heavy to hold. These were his pumpkin bombs.
Yeah.
But they're a little bit heavy to hold, and it's not something that you could try to hold it, but unfortunately the problem is that because they're so heavy.
Yeah, it's very top heavy.
Yeah, it's top heavy. Like what I don't like about Toy Biz Day. Yeah, sure, the articulation is good, the paint jobs are good, but sometimes they forget that they put too much weight on the top of the figure, and at the bottom of the legs, it's so fragile that they top
example
over.
Right there.
Yeah, they top over. You see, and I didn't have to do it, you see? But all in all, I could say is that villains of Spider-Man, they're cool. There's so many that he has. His rogue history of villains is big, just like Flash from DC, and just like Superman in DC. What I could say is this, that if you're going to start collecting Spider-Man, forget about the Spider-Man variants. Who cares about that? Collect only the villains. That's my opinion, because honestly, you're gonna buy, there's about probably 600 to 800 different Spider-Mans out there. Spider-Man and Batman, and Superman, and Wonder Woman, and I think also Batman are the only people, and Wolverine, and history of all DC and Marvel superhero figures that have so many variants.
Well, in my opinion, probably, yeah, like Batman for sure. especially during the 90s.
And especially Spider-Man too.
Spider-Man, yeah, and Wolverine. Wolverine, like during Toy Biz's early run of like X-Men, and Wolverine always was in every wave.
Yeah.
There was always like, you're going to have like 8 unique characters and then some version of Wolverine, stealth action Wolverine, night attack Wolverine, Nemesis, tuner Wolverine. There's always some kind of weird Wolverine toy.
Like, my favorite character from Marvel, still to this day, is the Hulk. But they didn't do him justice in the Avengers, and I'm not going to watch that movie, and I refuse to watch it. I have nothing against that. It's just that I talk to some of my friends. Before I watch a movie, I talk to friends that watch it, and if they say, and yeah, you know, now I'm really picky with movies because it's very expensive. The Hulk, I swear to you, I have every Hulk made. I swear there's only about 150 different Hulks made from early 1960s till today. That's sad. And he's a big character in Marvel. Anyway, now I'm rambling on other stuff. All I can say is, you know, collect for life, collect from the heart, and collect from your pocket. Don't buy something that you can't afford. If you're gonna look for something like this, look for them loose on eBay. It's cheaper. Plasticjunky out. My host, my favorite host and good friend, Protoman from Proto Retro is here too. Thank you very much again, and we'll see you in the near future. Peace.